Good morning. It's lovely to be out here in this nice, fresh, clean, cool air. I don't miss summer. Don't miss summer. No. At least not yet, right? Not yet, anyway. Oh, goodness. Well, let's see. The topic of my talk today is called The Joy of Self-Mastery. In his book, We Can Talk to God, Ernest Holmes wrote, "The secret of spiritual power is a consciousness of one's union with the whole and the availability of good. We are one with the universal creativeness, which is the God of theology, the spirit of mysticism, the reality of philosophy, and the principle of science. God is accessible to all people." Holmes tells us that spiritual design is perfect. We are perfect. We are perfect intelligence. Spirit is orderly. It cares for all things. The word intelligence, when we use it in relationship to the universal process, refers to living in an orderly fashion. All forms of expression have the opportunity to support one another. So we understand that there's a process as we go through the fall of watching the leaves fall off the trees, those that shed their leaves, and others go into hibernation for the winter. We know that they will return in the spring, revitalized. We know there's a sun that's going to shine every day, whether we see it or not. We can wake up and find the clouds, but we know that it's there. It nurtures life. All animal life supports one another. And we human beings were designed with the ability to express what we call independent thinking. By means of all that spirit is, we have access to the power of spirit to individually create lives that we would love to live. We have this within us to create a life we want to live. We're the ones that determine the depth of joy in our lives. And we do that by means of self-mastery. Self-mastery begins with our understanding that we are magnificent, individualized expressions of all that God is. Okay, that's a mouthful. Magnificent. When's the last time you thought of yourself as magnificent? It's easy sometimes to see somebody else and say, "Oh, that's a magnificent soul." And it's true. But can we look in the mirror, that person we get up to each morning, and say, "Oh, that is magnificent"? We are each individualized expressions of all that God is. What does that mean? It means that God only created one of each of us. Look around the room. Do you see yourself anywhere else? In this room or anywhere else? God created one of you. And God does not create junk. So therein lies the truth of your magnificence. We cannot compare ourselves to anyone else because there's only one of each of us. Ernest Holmes says that self-mastery relates to our divine connection to our source, which is spirit. And spirit is the source and substance of all of our supply, everything. Sometimes we limit our thinking by thinking, well, my job that I have right now is the source and substance of all of my income, of all of my survival. Sometimes we limit ourselves by thinking, well, I can't let my kids move away because, I adore them, I raised them, I worked on them, they're a reflection of me. But we have to realize that God is the source and substance of our supply. We get to multiply that in our own lives by our belief in it. So we get to multiply the love in our lives by belief in it. We get to multiply the joy and the magnificence in our lives by our belief in it. Holmes also wrote, all nature awaits on man's recognition and cooperation with her laws. It is always ready to obey our will, but man must use nature's force in accordance with her laws and in cooperation with her purpose, which is goodness, truth, and beauty. If we wish to attain self-mastery. So we need to begin the process of understanding self-mastery with our recognition that we are in the flow. We are in the constant flow of life, and life is constantly flowing. Spirit is constantly providing for us. Spirit is ever present as our source. And as I like to say, that Spirit is driving the bus of our lives. And the good news about that is we get to tell Spirit where to go in a good way. We get to tell Spirit where we want to go in our lives, what we want to experience. Because Spirit will sit with us and be with us for as long as we choose to sit and just be. When we decide to make a decision to move forward in any direction, Spirit's going, tell me where, and we're off. So it loves us enough as through our growth and recognition of our own magnificence, and will be there for us at every opportunity. Self-mastery not only is gaining an understanding of our relationship with Spirit and how it works in our lives, and that it is in the constant that we are in constant flow with it, and that we have the opportunity to demonstrate to Spirit or say to Spirit, this is what I want to create. What comes out of that for us is also the process of setting standards for our own lives. We get to determine how much love, how much truth, how much beauty, and how we want to live in that process. We get to determine that for ourselves. It means that we get to operate from these principles. Now, we also know that we individuals, human beings, have this opportunity to experience free will and choice. So if we don't want to, we don't have to. However, what we get to understand is when we do, life moves forward. When we get in the flow of things, we continue to move forward. When we find ourselves stuck somewhere because we cannot get beyond a situation, we cannot get beyond a hurt feeling, we cannot get beyond an experience that wasn't so pleasant, Spirit will wait with us. Spirit continues to support us and love us until we get to that place within ourselves to understand a deeper depth of spiritual and self-mastery. Self-mastery means recognizing our own talents and believing in ourselves more and more each day. It means staying committed every day to taking life from that place of love and that place of peace and that place of great expectation. What do we expect for our lives? Because what we demonstrate flows through us by means of what we expect. Do we get up in the morning and expect doom and gloom? Do we get up in the morning and our first thought is a judgment? Because we all know we're living in some challenging times right now. And we can, each and one of us, I'm sure, can get up every morning and find 10 things that are not working for us in this life before breakfast. So where do we want to begin our process? How do we want to stand in our power? We get to create loving and supporting relationships in our lives. We get to say yes to opportunities for our careers. We get to create a harmonious workplace by believing in the abilities of our coworkers and by providing encouragement for them. We get to be able to be what I call that light. Not everybody knows how to do this. And when we can demonstrate by means of our actions, and our actions flow through us by means of our self-mastery, other people find their way up to us and going, how you do that? How come you aren't all upset about this and this and this and this and this? We stand in our own power. I had people say to me, when I've talked about this philosophy and this teaching, oh, are you one of those people that runs around with those little rose-colored glasses on and everything's all good and everything's all sweet and everything's all kind and cute stuff? And living life from a conscious understanding that life is good isn't about living in rose-colored glasses. It's about choosing a higher consciousness to be aware of the fact that more is going on than what we on a day-to-day, hand-to-hand level can see. That God has got this, that there is divine order taking place. And our mastery of this understanding is what holds us in our individual power and what holds us in that place of light. It's what gives us the ability to be the light when we hit the room, to be the light that draws people to us going, how do you do that? It gives us the strength to go into situations that are challenging and know the truth about it. The other day, I had the opportunity to go back to the nursing home where my mother spent some time before she made her transition, and she had a little roommate who was in there with her, and this little woman just adored my mother. She just adored my mother. And I don't know who was more upset about my mother's transition, me or her. But I had said to her after my mother made her transition that I would come back and visit with her. And I had to go through my process of a certain level of healing before I could walk back in that nursing home. So the other day, I was over there near the nursing home and I thought, I'm going in there. So I just stopped, I drove up, parked, went in, and I surprised this little lady. And she just was thrilled. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see you. I've been thinking about you. I wanted to call you. I wanted to talk to you. I just needed someone to talk to. Things are not good. And at that point it was lunchtime. She says, I can't eat what they're serving for lunch here. And somebody had brought me some food yesterday and I left it in the refrigerator, which they're allowed to do, but you have to put your name on it, you have to date it. And somebody threw it out. And so she's all upset. She doesn't have her lunch. She doesn't want to eat what they've got. I said, okay, I tell you what. I said, tell me right now, what do you want to eat? Well, I can't do it. I said, What do you want to eat? Anything in the world, what do you want to eat? She says, well, I want some Kentucky Fried Chicken. I said, you got it. So I said, you set up here, and you stay right here in the dining room here, and I'm going to go get it, and then we'll come back and we'll chat. So I brought her the food, and she was just thrilled to death that somebody would stop what they're doing and just bring her some food. So we sat and we talked. And basically, I listened. It was about me listening, because she just wanted to just dump about how her family wasn't doing this and the family wasn't doing that, and they were fighting with each other, and she doesn't know what to do about it. She can't fix them, and they won't do this. And so I just let her dump. And at one point in the dumping, she was telling me that prior to her entering this nursing home, that she had picked this place out for herself. That she knew at one point in her life she may have to get to this point, and so she had done some research on places to go. And so she decided that that place was the place she wanted to be in. So I said to her, I said, well, when she had dumped, I said, okay. I said, you said one thing to me that was kind of important. And she says, what? I said, you said you picked this place out. You chose this place. And I said, so what does that tell me? I said, what does that tell us? I said, this place is safe for you. This place is taking care of you. There's medical help. You have a warm bed. You have people and she's very much of a social butterfly. I said, you have friends through here. I said, everything is working for you for your good. And she stopped and she goes, oh, you know what? I never thought about it that way. And I said, you tell me that you don't want to live with your children, that they weren't treating you the way you would like to be treated. I said, you're not. And I said, you have the opportunity to let your children know that if they come in here to your space and do not treat you with love and respect, or that they have chosen to have some behavior that doesn't work for you, you get to ask them to leave. She's like, oh, yeah. So this process for me helped me gain my little bit of mastery in standing in my truth to move into this space that didn't leave me with great memories the last time I was there. There were several people who worked there who did not know my mother had made her transition. And they came running up offering condolences and all this sort of stuff. And I thought, I can handle this. Because I know that my mother's transition was the process of life. That's the truth. So this is a process of how we get to stand in our magnificence. I could still be upset because my mother wasn't there, or this place didn't do what I wanted them to do every day, or whatever the problem was. Or I could stand in my truth knowing that this place provided medical care for my mother. This place provided a warm place for her to stay. This place provided all this stuff for her while she was recovering. And so I strengthened my opportunity to understand how life was flowing. When we choose to meet the challenges that life brings us, and life brings us challenges right, left, and center. When we choose to meet those challenges with the understanding that Spirit is ever guiding, directing, inspiring, prospering, and blessing everything we do, we're standing in our self-mastery. Now, I know I had an opportunity to work with a woman, wonderful woman, by the name of Dr. Maria Nemeth. And she is a psychotherapist in Sacramento, California, and she owns an academy where she trains people to become life and career coaches. And she was one of the people who started me on my path of awareness with respect to self-mastery, and how we can take that and you whittle that big picture of self-mastery down to your day-to-day life. She shared with me a most important definition that she used that worked for her. She said, my definition of success, how we all want to be successful, right? So what is success? What is the definition of success? Well, she shared hers, and her definition of success is doing what you say you are going to do. Period. We are successful when we say we're going to get up out of bed this morning and get dressed. We are successful when we say we're going to eat a healthy breakfast, and we eat it. We are successful when we move beyond certain fears in our life that we don't think we can accomplish, and we do. We are successful when we do what we say we're going to do. We get to ask ourselves each day, do we approach life as a good thing? Do we give our highest and best to ourselves, to our families, to our jobs, to our relationships? Do we set parameters for our children and support them as they learn how to love themselves some more? Do we show up for them when we say we will? Do we love ourselves and take care of our own physical, emotional, and spiritual being? Do we take a breath and find kindness within us before we go face any situation that may appear to be in conflict with someone else? I know before I moved to Mobile and started my church, I went into business with this woman for a short period of time. She was a trainer, and she went in to train people on having better work environments and working with your coworkers. And I was a human resource consultant, and she just thought it would be a marvelous thing if we went into business together and we just went out here and trained people and had all the human resource backgrounds and skills and all of this. And there was a part of me, this was a very nice woman, and there was a part of me where this didn't sit well with me. But I didn't know why. I mean, I knew she didn't, from what I knew about her, didn't appear to lie, cheat, steal, or be an axe murderer. So, I'm like, okay. So I said, so what I heard within me was, just don't sign anything. Just go into this with a positive perspective and just don't sign anything yet. So we made a deal to go into this trial situation, and we set up bank accounts, and we got the business all put together and whatever, and we went out and started to work. And what I discovered over a 2-year period was that her self-mastery was not on the same level as mine. Meaning that, for an example, she was the person who was late to everything. Everything. And I am one who, if someone is paying me to be somewhere, I show up early, I get everything set up, I get my mental space and stuff ready, and I am ready to rock and roll at 8:30 if that's when we're supposed to start. And what I got to observe about her was she didn't get out of bed until 5 after 8. And of course, still had to get dressed and eat and get over wherever we were. And what that did was put us in a position of having to start every single session we did together on an apology. Good morning, everybody. I am sorry I am late. Well, this didn't work for me, among many other small things that she did. And I just got to the point where I had to one day tell her, you know what, this is not working. And she had no clue why. And I said, this is about me, not about you. I said, this is about me. I need to work from this point of perception, from this level of self-mastery for myself. And you work from a different level. And I said, I can't expect you to change. This is what you do. And I can tell you now, I am not able to change to something less than my standards of integrity. So the relationship went by the wayside peacefully. But the challenge was saying yes to the opportunity and just being there to be in observation. Knowing who I was, having my standards and setting those up and moving through that. So each of us has an opportunity each day to gain self-mastery. We get up each morning and do our spiritual practice. We take time for prayer and treatment. We take time for meditation. We take time to breathe. We take time to get up and recognize that each day is a good day, no matter what challenge may come to us. Stephen Covey, I'll leave you with this. Stephen Covey, the author of Principle-Centered Leadership. He wrote, remember, response ability is the ability to choose our response to any circumstance or any condition. When we are responsible, our commitment becomes more powerful than our moods or circumstances. And we keep the promises and resolutions we make and gain a certain sense of self-mastery. You are the master of your house. You are all that God is. You have the power to create the life you would love to live. So I say go forth and prosper. Go forth and stand in your power. Because we know with God, all things are possible. And so it is.
So let's close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath in. Breathe, deep breath out. Consciousness being aware of the breath that we're taking. Feeling the sensations in our bodies as the breath goes in and out. Allowing our hearts to expand, to grow. As we get in a place of gratitude. Feeling this divine light, white light, coming from our head, our crown, all the way down to our feet, as we feel grounded, supported by earth. And how wonderful it is to know this divine presence of God that's right here, right now, in every atom, tissue, muscle of our being. How grateful we are for the space, for our home, our children, our families. Being in this space of gratitude, just mentally chant, I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. In a space of gratitude, knowing that love is here right now. Love is vibrating. Love is healing every part of our being. The love is a presence that is the essence of who we are. It's right here, right now. And just breathe consciously through these sensations, listening to our body temple as we're breathing long and deep in a space of gratitude, in a sense of love. As we expand this feeling of love for one another in the room, feel that sensation, that space going through this town where we're at, through the whole state, through the whole United States, and through the whole world. Feel that sensation of love, widening, opening, a sensation of oneness, of healing, of love, penetrating every part of our being. Breathing long and deep. Now imagine this light that's in your heart, expanding, whitening, and connecting to each one of us in this room together. As we are one, feel that presence of love, of union, of oneness with your brothers and sisters. And how beautiful it is for us to be able to feel this together. And for this, I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes.